Welcome back to another episode of Trash Talk. I'm Jon-Bernard. This is Nick. We are the K-Roos brothers giving you the fight news around combat sports. Special guest in the studio this week. Our first studio guest in-house. We've got Hex featherweight champion George Mangos. George, thank you for coming in, mate. We appreciate it.
Thanks very much. Pleasure to be here, boys. Thanks for having me on the show.
Usually Greeks are annoying, but you don't sound annoying.
Yeah, dude, one of the Greeks I can get behind, especially in the MMA combat scene. There's no Greeks in MMA. Name a Greek. Because, Conor McGregor puts Ireland on his back.
Yeah.
You got Ilya Taporia, Georgia, Marab. Everyone's a countryman. Where's the Greek MMA stars?
Yeah.
Are you going out representing Greek? I mean, to get signed, you got to have that character. Are you going to play that Greek character?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like you said, there's not many MMA Greek guys that do MMA. I can't think of any off the top of my head. And, I'm pretty into the scene. So that's definitely a goal of mine, is to put not only Australia on the map where I'm fighting out of and living now, but I want to put my heritage in Greece. Show that we still have our fighting spirit, which isn't shown much in the modern day.
Yeah, you got Kambosos in boxing.
Volkanovski, is he Greek or Macedonian?
I think he claims Macedonian, but yeah, he could go either way with that. No, we love you, Volk. But look, George, 6-0 fighter. You're coming up on the Hex scene, Hex featherweight champion. You've been touted by some peers like Jack Jenkins as one of the best up and comers, Hex fighter of the year as well. You started your MMA career when you were 15 years old. What got you into MMA?
Look, I started training when I was 8 years old. My parents just wanted to put me in to learn self-defense, just to be able to take care of myself. And then, I was naturally pretty good at it. I think some people were just born to do stuff, and they pick up stuff that you can't teach. So I just was good at it, and it made me want to train more, and I really enjoyed it. I was showing up every day. It wasn't a hassle to get me to training. I enjoyed going. And then, about when I turned 15 or so, my coach started first talking to me about having a fight. And, at the start of it, that conversation, that idea of getting in the cage, it was the biggest, I was shitting my pants. Yeah, it was daunting. Definitely was something I didn't plan on fighting. I remember being at school, people knew I trained, but they would ask me, do you want to fight? I was like, fuck no. There's no way I'm going to get in the cage and fight anyone. But
what about your parents? They want you to fight or no?
No, not really. But then...
Euros 2004, Greece won. They didn't get you into soccer?
No, I was playing soccer at the same time. I was playing from when I was about 4 or 5 years old until I was 12. So that period from 8 to 12, I was training MMA and doing soccer.
Yeah.
And then that age, I was like, I like MMA better, so I'm just going to do that full time. And my coach was like, all right, he didn't even ask me. He's like, I got your fight. And I'm like, fuck, I can't, I'm scared to fight, but I'm more scared to say no to my coach. And then, look, I think that was the biggest step in my career, my first amateur fight. If I didn't have that fight at that young age, I definitely wouldn't be where I'm at now. Just to get over that first hurdle, fight in front of a crowd, as a normal fighter as I do now, but just at that point in time in my life, it was a massive thing for me. And I think it's helped a lot with my confidence to where I'm at now.
I mean, 8 years old, how technical were you getting at 8 years old?
I think I was pretty good. I got to find some footage. There's stuff of me wrestling my brother and my cousins, who are both older than me.
I'm saying, every
backyard.
time Khabib used to fight, they showed him wrestling a bear
yeah.
when he was a kid. We're going to get that 8-year-old footage of you wrestling your brothers?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I don't have a bear, but I just had an older brother, an older cousin.
Yeah, well, I want to ask, so you go through the amateur scene, you're currently 6-0. What's the regional scene in Australia like? What's the grind like, on the path to the UFC?
Yeah, look, it's definitely tough because people are very iffy about who they want to fight, and that makes it hard. You want to take the toughest fights, or me personally at least, I want to test myself against the best, because if I can't beat anyone here who's not even in the UFC, how am I going to go make waves and make a living in the UFC? So look, I got lucky early in my pro career. I got a good opportunity to fight for the Hex belt. And thanks to Justin, he was game enough to take the fight against me. Obviously, it went my way. It didn't work out for him, but because I beat him and I had a belt, it made it easier for me to get fights too. Even though obviously I was a tough fight for people, there was a bit of it was worth stepping up. Yeah, and there was incentive to fight me. So my last few fights, I haven't really had much trouble getting opponents, because someone derails the hype train and beats me. It looks good for them. So I've been lucky in that aspect, but it's definitely tough on the regional scene. I got teammates like Marwan. He's 3-0. He's got three knockouts. He's struggling to find a matchup. He's got a matchup now March 1st, but he has sometimes you have to sit on the sidelines.
Do any of the guys in your gym or even in the regional scene look to go overseas? I know some boxers go to Thailand to go get some fights under their belt. Do you, if it gets slow in Australia and you can't find opponents, you go, I'm just going to go to America and see what I can do there. Does anyone do that?
Yeah, there is a couple people. I know there's one kid who moved to I can't remember what gym, somewhere in America where there's UFC fighters. He's fighting there. Some even Aussies, they fight in Bali if they can't get fights here. Like Colby did that a bit before he made the UFC. So there's definitely other routes, but sometimes say for a Bali example, the competition there isn't as stiff as it is here. So that's a trade-off.
Yeah. Now, talking about path to the UFC, how close are you right now? Do you think? How close are you to a UFC debut? I mean, if you look at Colby's thickness, we just interviewed him yesterday. He just got the call not even 3-4 weeks ago, and he's also the Hex bantamweight champion. If you were bantamweight, you could have possibly been in the UFC right now. What is the path there? Do you get a call? Is it your management? What's the path to the UFC? How close are you right now? Yeah,
look, I mean, I just got to keep doing what I'm doing. I think if there was opportunity at featherweight like there was at bantamweight, I would have been the first person they call. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. I was ready just in case. That was half the reason. Like I booked my next fight for March 1st. Was if something did come up for UFC Sydney, I would be in camp.
So you fully expected to be on Sydney?
Definitely. Like if something was to come up, like I would be ready. But it didn't happen. You just got to play with the cards you're dealt with.
At featherweight, or have you ever gone to bantamweight as well?
No, I can't make bantamweight. Nah.
Too big, man.
Yeah, I can't make bantamweight. Look, maybe lightweight if it would have been a possibility if it was short notice, depending on who it was. But look, at the end of the day, I'm still only 21 years old. Like I got no rush. So if I don't get on this Sydney card, I've got so much time compared to everyone else.
Of course, at a young age. And if you look at others, Jonathan McCaleb, and how others have gone on the Dana White Contender Series. Is that a route that you would jump at? Contender Series?
Definitely. I think like that's most likely what's going to happen. I think it seems like Dana loves putting these young up and comers on the Contender Series and seeing what they're made of there before he gives them a contract. So look, I'd say with a win on Hex, that's what I'm hoping for after that is a Contender Series fight.
I mean, like Sydney's got I think 3 more events. Perth signed up for a couple more, so. Maybe hold out for an opportunity on the UFC card as well. You never know because they're asking for Aussies. You probably get the call up.
Yeah.
Now you got your YouTube channel going. Yeah. You're big on your social media. You're topical on Instagram. How important is it as a fighter to have a social media presence? Because I mean, you've seen Volk. Volk's got his YouTube channel going. He's got the content going. But before Volk was a massive superstar, he was on Twitter with 300 followers doing a hashtag sign Volk campaign. And now look where he is. Do you take inspiration from that? And are you are you putting a lot of effort into social media?
Yeah, look, unfortunately you have to. Like it's not my favorite thing to do, but yeah, it's definitely like a big part of your personality and how much numbers you draw and like just building a fan base, and then when you're in the UFC, building it even up more and selling more tickets. That's what the UFC want. Like you're the product, how good you fight, how well you speak, your socials, like that all matters. So yeah, it's definitely something I've been trying to work on. Even just like I remember my first time as an amateur fighting for a title, being in front of a camera doing interviews, like I was hopeless. So like all that stuff you need to work on just so when you're there you can't really fuck up too much.
Mate, it's a great way to look at it.
And then trash talk, how you've gone with the trash talk.
Yeah, I'm
Breaks
all
are
right.
usually solid.
Yeah, look, I mean, I'm not too bad. I don't like to trash talk too much. I mean, like I might say something smart ass here and there, but I'd rather just be myself because as much as people love like trash talkers, like it's a fine line where the fans also hate people pretending to be someone who they're not. So you've got to tread that line carefully, and I think just being yourself is the most important thing. How
would you liken your fighting style? Is there someone you take inspiration from? Like what's your kind of fight style? Like you're a striker, but you also can wrestle?
Yeah, well, like 5 of my 6 wins as a pro are submissions, and then I've just come off like with a head kick knockout for my last fight. So I'd say I'm pretty well-rounded. As an amateur, I was 6-0 too, 3 knockouts, 3 submissions. I'm definitely well-rounded because I started off in MMA. I didn't start like kickboxing or doing jiu-jitsu. But someone like I like to watch the most, who's sort of maybe a good striker with really good jiu-jitsu, is Charles Oliveira. Oh, then there's Ilya too. Ilya's perfect everywhere. Like he's undefeated as for a reason. Yeah, Ilya and Charles, they're like 2 guys that I like to watch their style.
Look, I'm probably never going to head kick knockout someone in my life. What was it like? How did it feel when you were
feeling? Is it like because you walk off as soon as you do it, you know it's done?
Yeah.
What's the head kick walk off feel like?
It was pretty like sensational. Like when I felt my shin hit him, I was like like, yeah, I seen him drop, and I stopped because I knew it was done, but also because I was that G. Like, I was like, fuck, I just knocked him out. And plus my shin was hurting
Like,
too.
you know when Max Holloway knocked him out last second and was just like G'd up afterwards? Was that the feeling? Like, he just like nothing,
100%. Like,
pure excitement.
in hindsight, I mean, obviously the fight was done there, but really I should have probably followed up with shots just in case, like just out of habit, I should have, but I didn't stop because I thought it was done. I stopped because I was that excited.
That's the sport.
Yeah, I know it is. I mean, even Dricker's saying I'm not stopping until the ref stops.
Yeah.
That's how you got to
Gotta
treat
get
it.
pulled off.
Yeah, I want to ask you because a thing that everyone's talking about is the Australian weight cut because fighters get an extra day in Australia.
Yeah.
To kind of load back up before the fight. The weigh-ins are on Friday. They get Saturday off and the fight's on Sunday in Australia. How much more important do you think that extra day is into refueling? Because you've done a fair few weight cuts. I know you don't enjoy them too much. Talk me through what a weight cut's really like and how crazy would it be to have an extra day?
Yeah, it sucks. Like, it's no matter how you cut your weight in a bath, sauna, steam, whatever you do, it sucks. So, and to have an extra day to rehydrate and like now, when I weigh in, you have 24 hours. So like you get dinner, then you get your breakfast, lunch the next day. I don't like to eat too much fight day, and then you fight. So if you can have dinner, another dinner maybe, breakfast, another breakfast, lunch, you got like a whole full day. You'll feel so much more full and like it won't
Probably heavier.
Yeah, you'll be heavier, and whenever you cut weight, you're not fighting at 100%, maybe 90%. You're just upping that percentage every day you have in between weigh-in day and fight day.
So there's this thing that came out yesterday. Ilya Topuria was supposed to fight Volk, probably UFC 313. But they said the fight was off because Topuria needs 6 months to cut weight.
Yep.
Is that realistic or is that just a fake headline?
Yeah, look, I'm not sure about that, but I saw he's weighing like 185, 190 pounds. Look, I know, like me as a featherweight, I'll probably hit, I don't know what it is in pounds, but I can definitely get up to 80 kilos. I don't know I think that's maybe 180, 185 pounds. But 190, that's pretty big. Like, but I don't know if he needs 6 months to cut weight. Maybe it's just he does it more comfortably.
Yeah.
But look, he's the champ. He can sort of pick and choose these timelines
But
where he wants to
usually when
fight.
you cut weight, it's more accelerated
Yeah,
within the last
yeah.
like 2 months of the fight camp.
I think from 185, depends how big he gets. If he hits 190, like how much of it is fat and how much of it is
doesn't look
muscle.
fat at all, yeah.
Yeah,
If he's pretty lean, then
It's
it's
tough.
going to take a while.
What's your weight cutting process? If you look at other fighters, Adesanya, he was cutting for Saudi Arabia, he was crying in the bathtub.
Yeah.
Arman Sarukian pulled out. They said it was a weight cutting issue.
Yeah.
Like some fighters react differently. How do you react to weight cuts and what's your process like?
Yeah, look, it was a bit of a trial and error at the start. Like I would always make weight, but then I was doing a lot of saunaing at the start. Now I prefer the bath. Like I said before, they all suck. Like either way, it's just a shit experience. But
So yeah, what do you obviously just hydrating on water throughout the day, or what are you cutting out?
yeah, well, a week out, and then you start water loading. So I'm drinking like 6-7 liters of water a day up until maybe 2 days from the weigh-in, I think it is. And then 1 day from the weigh-in, maybe 1.5, 2 liters of water, and then that's it. So from then until after you weigh in, maybe 24 hours, I'm not having any water, but I'm dehydrating myself, sweating, and then wrapping up in blankets and jumpers, and then sweating in the bath again.
What's the mental like? in
Yeah,
that period?
I've gotten pretty good at it. Like, it's obviously it's draining, but now I think if I fought without cutting weight, it would feel weird. Like it's just
Part of the process.
yeah, it's just a part of the process. They go hand in hand. Like it's like I have to go through that mentally to feel 100% to fight and to feel like, all right, I've done the work now. Now I can fight and then I can reap the rewards.
Well, you got an upcoming fight March 1st against Ethan Thomas. You're defending your Hex featherweight champion. What do you know about your opponent? And give us a rundown of how the fight's gonna go.
Yeah, look, Ethan is a dangerous guy. He's he's I think he was meant to challenge for other titles before, but he went and he was doing like the ADCC World Championship for Jiu-Jitsu. He's a black belt in Jiu-Jitsu. He's very dangerous on the ground. He's also a good wrestler. I think he's a national wrestling champion in Australia. So he's no joke. He's 4-2 in MMA, but he's at heavier weights, like at welterweight. He's fought welterweights at lightweight. Yeah, so he's not undefeated, but he's very dangerous and he's strong. So yeah, I'm not taking him lightly at all. Even though, like, obviously I'm doing really well. I'm finishing everyone. That's what I'm going to do to Ethan. It's going to be another clinical like performance. I go out there every time someone steps in the cage with me, like they don't leave, and then no one sees the judges' scorecards. It's going to be the same. I'm going to go 7-0, and I'm going to find the Contender Series next.
One thing, it's in the interviews, you can see the confidence. You talk it into existence. You're visualizing yourself in the octagon, getting it done.
Yeah.
I know you're taking after a lot of fighters that have been before you, but it's great to see the local boy doing it.
I said he's been himself.
Yeah, no, I can't wait to see it. He's I'm going to be tuning in March 1st against Ethan Thomas. Make sure you tune into the Australian regional scene, Hex. Talking about the regional scene, how does a fighter choose between going to Hex or Eternal or fighting on another promotion? How do you make that choice?
Yeah.
Which route do you want to go?
Look, for me personally, and the mentality at our gym at Lions Den is just whatever fight is best, whatever fight makes sense. Whatever fight is going to progress you the most, if you beat the guy, that's the fight you take. So whether it's Hex, Eternal, whether it's on in Punch Bowl, my coach's show, on Super Fight, if it's in my backyard, as long as there's a video and the UFC can see it, I don't care where I'm fighting, as long as I'm fighting someone good and it's going to progress me in my career. So yeah, where or it doesn't really matter. All these shows, they're pretty good. They put in a lot of effort on the regional scene.
You think there's a difference between promotions? Like, is there a difference between talent, or it's kind of level playing field before you make the jump?
No, it's pretty level playing field, I think. Like I said, I mean, like Eternal, they sign people exclusively. So sometimes they like that can hinder if they're signing a lot of people in your weight class and you're not signed to them. Maybe you can't fight people in there's not as many options in your weight class. But look, I think it's pretty level. Like even Beatdown, I had my pro debut on. Like everyone has some good competition and they all run pretty good shows.
Oh, that's good to know. Now, this is something that I ask all the Aussie fighters on the card at UFC 312. I want to get your thoughts. Who do you think is the number one Aussie fighter in the UFC right now?
Oh, look, it's hard to go past Volk. I mean, I know he's on a 2-fight losing streak, but like what he's done, he's defended his belt multiple times. He's definitely been the most dominant champ. I know you had Rob, who was the first Aussie champion. But yeah, it's definitely hard to go past Volk.
Yeah, I agree. I think Volk definitely, because of how long his tenure was, how dominant he was, and Rob Whittaker did lose to Izzy as well, like multiple times. Like Volk, he lost to Islam multiple times, but at least that's a weight jump.
I mean, the only other answer we got a lot from the boys was Jack Della.
Yeah,
and he's proven himself a fair bit with Gilbert Burns going up against Leon Edwards in London.
Like they were just saying that because it's like that's the next generation.
Yeah,
I know. I think it kind of depends what happens in the next 3 months.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So yeah, no. Have you ever had anything to do with Volk, or do you kind of idolize Volk as one of the first Aussies to do it, especially, you know, from such an early on when MMA wasn't really accepted here in Australia?
Yeah, look, well, I definitely do I think Jack's number 2 for sure. Like, he's going on a good run. He's finished everyone. I think he's only got one decision in the UFC. But as with Volk, we went down to freestyle a couple of times when I was an amateur to spar. But we sort of stopped going when I wanted to turn pro. I knew they had a few featherweights that I wanted to fight, so we stopped. Maybe now that we've fought, I can go do some more work with him. We'll see. But it's definitely someone I look up to, and the main thing is that it shows like he's just a guy from Windang at the end of the day. And, you know, he's gone and he conquered the UFC and he was dominant for a long time. So it shows it doesn't matter you're from Sydney or you're not from America, you can get it done.
There's no Greece, Macedonian bad blood there. He looks
I'm pretty sure he's half Greek. I think his mum's Greek and his dad's Maso.
Okay.
There you go. Well,
that's where it provide a bit of leniency.
That's where I like him a bit more.
There you have it, folks. Watch out for the next up-and-coming MMA superstar, George Mangos. Follow him on socials. Watch his rise to the UFC. I'm sure he's going to be there within the next 12 months. He's making big moves. Shout out to Tim Simpson now.
Just quickly, last one.
Yeah.
So you said you started training at 8 years old. When did you get the cauliflower ears?
Actually, not. I think I got him like after 10 years of training. I think I was like 18, 19.
So tough to go through school with those.
Yeah, no, I was out of school. I don't know why. For so long, they just didn't come up. I mean, this year is like all right, but this year...
Did people shit themselves when they see it with a cauliflower ear?
I mean, not really. Sometimes a lot of people don't even notice it.
Yeah,
I
didn't notice it, to be honest.
Yeah.
Usually it's like if you're going to fight someone, check their ears first.
Yeah,
obviously.
If they've got cauliflower, stay away.
I think that's a good idea.
Were you just waiting for it?
Yeah, I was. I mean, I was kind of happy when it came. I wanted a little bit. I wouldn't mind someone this year, but...
So how do you want it? I don't understand that.
No, I think it's good. It's like a little trademark.
It shows you put in the work, yeah,
fair enough.
Well, let's get into the news. There's been quite a bit going into UFC 312 with this week. Starting with Rumors that Ilia Topuria versus Islam could be a done deal in July.
Well, that's what you said. Topuria doesn't want to make the featherweight.
Yeah.
It takes 6 months. If he wants to go up now, Islam's the only fight I would really take.
Okay, Islam versus Topuria, how do you think it goes? And then also, do you feel bad for Volk not getting a rematch?
Volk deserves the rematch, but
Yeah.
I don't feel bad for him because it's like you're still getting double,
Yeah.
you're still getting championship money, you're still getting the
And it's
championship
a money fight
fight
for the UFC. How do you see it playing out?
Look, I didn't see honestly. Like maybe Volk, if he has a good day, he can beat him on the rematch. But other than that, I don't think anyone at the featherweights come close to beating Ilia. At lightweight, I think pound for pound, Ilia beats Islam too. But just because of how big Islam is, like he's a massive lightweight.
Yeah.
I think that could play a part and maybe give like Islam the edge in that fight. I think if they were the same size, Ilia would win.
Well, Islam says he walks around that 180.
Yeah,
so if they're walking around the
it's
same weight
pretty
outside
similar.
of camp.
And
so
international fight weeks make sense because Islam got done with Renato Moicano in 1 round. He's ready to go. He's fresh.
no damage.
No damage. He
Yeah.
can turn it around so quick. He doesn't have to wait till Abu Dhabi in like August, October. It's like, let's make it happen now. Let the lightning strike now. Ilya's the biggest he's ever been. It's only going to ascend him higher if he wins. It's a massive fight to make. I'd be very intrigued by it. I'm giving a slight edge to Ilya as well. I think his boxing is second to none. If he can handle himself in the wrestling aspect, which Islam is the best wrestler in the UFC, then it's just going to be a standing battle. And look how Dustin and Islam went. I think it's the same thing, but Ilya catches him.
Yeah, you never know. It's just really, why would Islam take the fight? There's no need for him to do
That
it.
is a risky fight for him.
It's risky and he wants to go up.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, you'd rather go up and lose so that way you keep your belt.
Now, when I ask you, what are your thoughts on the UFC 312 card?
Yeah, look,
Well, honestly.
it's not bad. Like it's good for Aussies. Like at the end of the day, it's not like the most exciting pay-per-view for other fans, for casual fans and stuff
Yeah.
like that. But for Aussies, it's a huge card. You know what I mean? We've got lots of, I think, 3 debuts. And then other like Jimmy Cruz coming back, stuff like that. But no, it's definitely not like the biggest going to do the most numbers.
Well, these are the current fighters that are in Australia, but they're not fighting on UFC 312. Charles Oliveira is floating around the fighter hotel. Caio Barilio, he's there. He's training with Sean Strickland. Ilia Topuria is there in his brother's corner.
Volkanovski's here. Hamzat's rumored to come down.
Yeah.
Alex
I think
Pereira's
Pereira,
in
yeah.
Strickland's
He just
corner.
landed in Australia. He's going to be in Strickland's corner.
Yeah.
All these big name fighters are here, and they're
one's
not on the
fighting.
card.
Yeah.
Now I know tax is a massive thing, but it's like if they're going to be here, guys, at least please fight for us. Let's see
Yeah.
you get in the cage.
Well, usually, like, the thing is, like, no one wants to come to Australia because it's so far away.
You're all here.
But they all came.
Yeah.
They're like,
Yeah.
that's not the excuse anymore.
Yeah, I mean,
Obviously, UFC's probably put them on first-class flights, made them come out here.
Yeah.
Just be on the card.
Oh, look, they're going to have their promotions to do. They're doing interviews. They're doing media. They're building up the UFC card here. But I think the fans would have just loved to see them. At least a couple more people fight on the card. Maybe if we had a Jack Della here, it's not meant to be. But look, I still think the card is fairly underrated. I think Drickus and Strickland are going to light it up. We'll get into the preview later on. But do you see that as a factor? Like, especially for casuals and people wanting to get into MMA, if the big fighters aren't going to come here, people aren't going to get into it.
Yeah, I mean, it is a bit like that. It would do a lot for us if we could bring, like, say, Pereira. I think he was rumored to fight here at one point. Like, I was so G'd for that, to watch him fight
Perth, I think it
live.
was like
Yeah,
Perth last year.
that would have been mad. So, look, it definitely would help with, like, getting new people from Australia to come to, like, their first UFC event and stuff. But, you know, it is what it is. I guess, I mean, if they're going to lose 40% of their purse, it's understandable.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
100%. Now, there's a big thing going around post Saudi Arabia, especially after Shara versus MVP. Shara the Bullet came out after his loss and said, I was sick as a dog. I've never been this sick going into a
It's
fight.
convenient about saying it after the loss.
Yeah.
MVP didn't like that too much. He said, listen, if you're sick, there's no need to mention it after. But, I mean, Umar, as soon as he lost, comes out, says broke his hands.
I mean, his hand was
His
broken.
hand was broken, legitimately, I understand. But a lot of fighters, not that a lot of people do it, but will come out after a loss and say, I was sick, I've never been this sick, staph infection, injury. Do you think after a loss it's better for a fighter to just go assess the loss, come back bigger and better, or do they have to give an excuse as to why they lost?
Yeah, I can't stand when people do that as well. Like, I've fought with, no one goes into a fight 100%. I've fought with injuries, I've fought with illnesses. The fight with Justin, I couldn't even breathe. I had to take like Sudafed to breathe out of my nose before the fight. Like, I had a chest infection. The fight with Jarrett after, I had a staph infection 2 weeks from the fight on my rib. Yeah. Almost had to pull out if depending on how it went, if it reacted well to the antibiotics. So there's like no excuse. If you sign up to fight and you don't pull out, like you lose, you lost. I actually saw Jack Jenkins talking about it on an interview today with Australian MMA because he lost, like he broke his elbow. He was winning the fight.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, you just got to cop it on the chin. Like you can't make excuses and be like, oh, but I was winning. You're
I
winning.
think he's even said like, it's my fault I was in that position.
Yeah, exactly.
So like he's actually kind of owned the loss completely.
100%. And you see,
then, like Arman, you either go into the fight with a bit of an illness or you get someone that pulls out late.
Yeah.
So either way, the fans are never happy.
Exactly right.
So just do what's best for you.
You see people who handle it well. Someone's like Izzy, like Adesanya, like he was winning against Pereira in that first fight in the UFC, and then you get caught. So, but he doesn't make excuses. He's like, all right, like you beat me this time. I was winning until I wasn't. And then same with Imamov. He gets knocked out. That was sad. But, you know, he goes over, shakes his hand. That's it. You
says,
caught me.
I'm gonna chill and I'm gonna evaluate where I'm gonna be. So I don't know. I can't talk because I'm not a fighter, and I respect everyone that gets into the octagon. I just think fans would prefer it's probably a better look to not acknowledge any illnesses or if any injuries going in. Because like you said, everyone fights injured. Marab said he broke his back, had staph infections on his leg, and he gets in the ring and beats Umar, who was a favourite. So, I mean, I think it's just better. An MVP made a point. It's just better not to say anything.
I feel like last year, though, more prominent, what happened more often was people getting staph infections. Is it really that common in like MMA gyms?
Look, it is. It does happen. It took me like maybe 11 years of training before I think I've had it twice. And it took me like 11, 12 years of training before I actually copped it. Look, it's something like it's hard to avoid, like training in a gym every day, but you do what you can. I think the main thing is as well, when you're in camp and you're cutting weight and your immune system's low, I think that's why it's a problem leading up to fights.
And like how much does it impact you? Because I've seen like Benoit Saint Denis had it and lost. Then Islam had it but won.
Jack Della had it pretty bad on his arm.
So like how much does it actually impact your performance?
No, it definitely does. Like not only does it like hurt and it's like very painful and you sometimes like I had it on my leg once and the first time I got it and I couldn't even when I was walking downstairs and stuff, like it was just everything around the aches, But then also what's even more like makes it worse is the antibiotics, because sometimes they're resistant to like weaker ones. You have to take strong antibiotics, and taking those while trying to do a training camp and like pressure leading up to a fight.
Really plays
it's a lot. So that's another factor that makes it worse.
I mean, you've been through a fair bit, not even in the UFC. I think you're going to be pretty adjusted when you finally reach the UFC. Now, I want to talk about the downfall of Israel Adesanya.
Yeah.
All full respect to Izzy. He's one of the greatest to ever do it. But is this the end of the legendary Izzy that we know, the title contender Izzy?
Yeah, I mean, it looks that way. He's still so talented and skilled. Like, you've seen what he was doing to a top contender in the first round. It's clearly his round. I don't know. I think it's more like he's just done it so many times. He probably needs something to like, does he really want it is what he's got to ask himself, I think. Like, all right, he's won the belt. He was dominant. He lost it. He won it again against his biggest rival. Like, what's going to get him out of bed to push as hard as he can to actually get back?
His money's set.
You know what I mean? He's made his money. Yeah.
So like, what's really his motivation to keep going?
I think that's what he needs to figure out.
But it's crazy in this sport how quickly things can change.
Yeah.
You look at him, Volk, Usman, right now combined, they're 0-8.
Yeah.
Like at one point pre-2020, these guys were the champs.
They were the
kings of the division, exactly right.
Like literally, there's a stat, I think, from 2019 to 2022, they were 20-2 combined.
Wow.
From 2023 to 2025, they're 2-9.
Wow.
So it's like in 2 years, their whole career and the whole shape of the UFC has just completely changed.
But like they're still active.
They are,
and they can turn it around. I mean,
Usman hasn't been active.
Yeah, Usman's been.
He's always been riddled with injuries, like his knees and stuff. So. I mean,
out of those fighters, who do you think could turn it around? Right now, it has to be obviously Volk or Usman. I think Volk having a fight soon.
I think I don't think it's Adesanya because, especially they got lots of like up and comers in the middleweights like Imamov and stuff. Mm-hmm. I think there's lots of more there is at featherweight and welterweight, but I don't know. I feel like at middleweight it's just hard to do. Volk is more. He's only on a 2-fight losing streak.
One of them against
that lightweight, so I think he has more of a chance. Usman, I'm not sure. I think it's probably Volk who has the best chance because Usman's older and it feels like his body's breaking down more than the other two.
Well, I feel like just path back to the title. If he can't beat Ilya, that's where it's going to be tough. But Usman, if he does beat, say, a Jack Della or someone like in that Sean Brady, whatever it is, he can then go and face Bilal or Shafkat and win.
Exactly, yeah.
Well, let's get into our UFC 312 preview. We've got the Hex featherweight champion helping us out here, giving his best insights into the preview, starting with the headline of the prelims. Jack Jenkins versus Gabriel Santos. Now, we interviewed both these guys.
Charles Oliveira's in his corner.
Yeah, Charles
Oh, is he?
Oliveira was there.
Wow.
He was filming the whole interview. It was a kind of I couldn't really focus. I was looking at Charles filming us. But Gabriel Santos seems like a great bloke. Very respectful to Jack Jenkins. Very skilled fighter from what we can see as well. Jack kind of respects him, even though his losses, if you look at them, some of them were on short notice. He kind of lost by decision where he was doing a lot of work in that fight. Where you look at Jack Jenkins, I would say gaining momentum after that loss where he kind of broke his elbow. So I'm leaning towards the Aussie Jack Jenkins just because I think of experience in the octagon. He's 31 years old. It's kind of make or break for him to kind of get on this winning streak and make a name for himself in the featherweight division.
Yeah.
He wants to be on the main card in his next fight. This is the place to do it. It's going to be the most entertaining fight, probably of the prelims. That's why it's headlining. I'm leaning towards Jack Jenkins. I want to see how he gets it done. How do you see it going?
Yeah, I think so too. I think especially in his last fight, Jack showed like how good his striking is too. He works the body well. He's smart. This definitely is his toughest fight though. Even though I think he's 1-2 in the UFC, his opponent. But like you said, short notice fights and one like arguably he should have won against Laron Murphy, who's now ranked 2. So it's definitely his toughest test. I'm looking forward to see how he goes. But I do think he gets it done. I think he's well rounded and he's smart. So. But it will be a good test for him.
Yeah, I had full confidence in Jack.
Yeah, me too.
Right up until I saw Charles Oliveira. I'm like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, but you got to think
That does change a lot.
Jack can break legs with his leg kicks. In
that's
his
true.
last fight, he was surprised that he didn't punch the insides out of his last bloke.
Yeah.
So I'm leaning towards Jack. I'm keen to see him get it done, and he's going to be an Aussie to keep an eye out for. Next up, we've got a welterweight bout. Jake Matthews versus Prado? Francisco Prado. Jake Matthews is the youngest seasoned veteran in the UFC. Yeah. He's been in the UFC over 10 years now.
Well, I was playing UFC 2 the other day, and he was in the game. So
Like,
he's been around for a while.
Yeah, and he's a great bloke. Fights out of Melbourne as well. Trains with Jimmy Coote. Did a stint in Thailand for this training camp. I personally don't know much about his opponent. He seems very confident going into this fight. Jake Matthews says this is the best shape he's ever been in.
I think he just signed a new contract with the UFC, like a new 4 or 5 fight contract. So he's confident that he's got a lot in the tank and to keep doing more going forward. But I don't know anything about his opponent, so I can't. Where
do you think this fight goes? Is this kind of Jake's going into his 30s? He's been in the UFC for over 10 years now. Is this kind of okay? You got to pull the trigger and get these wins, rack up momentum, and make noise in the welterweight division. Yeah,
definitely. I think like the fact that he was in the UFC, I think he was 19 or something. Like that's crazy to be 10 years in the UFC and not even or just hitting your 30s. I think like you, I don't really know much about his opponent, but I think he's gonna come in. He looks like motivated, like he's resurged and he's got a good team around him, training with Jimmy Crude and stuff. I think signing a new contract, he's gonna hit the ball rolling and make a statement against this guy.
We've got a light heavyweight bout. Jimmy Crude, the return of Jimmy Crude against Bilardo. Jimmy Crude, I mean, I think it's the biggest he's ever been at light heavyweight. Coming in off a return. Again, he's very confident. I'm not going to lean towards all the Aussies here. I've seen the highlights of his opponent. His opponent can strike. It's going to be a very striking heavy, light heavyweight battle. Jimmy has been susceptible to submissions. I mean, you see what happened with that knee injury as well. That kind of put him out for a while.
I mean, just from interviewing him yesterday, though, no bullshit. Just seems like he's in the zone. Wants to get it done. But, it's like, how many times has he been in this position? And that's why it's hard. But it's hard to pick against him.
How do you see Jimmy's return going?
Yeah, look, I think the fact that like he was pretty much done and retired, and now like he's decided to come back and he's like feels like he's ready. I don't think he would do that. Obviously, he thinks he's ready and stuff. So I think he's going to come out and put on a show. I met Jimmy a while ago when I was an amateur. He commentated one of my fights. So that was pretty cool. So I like him. I'm going to back him. I think, like I said, the fact that he's coming out of retirement, I think he's sorted out his mental and he's going to come and he's going to make a statement.
Now, we've got a heavyweight bout. Justin Tafa versus Teixeira. Now, Rosenstruck he just got cut facing Sergey Pavlovich, right? And this was blatantly because it went to decision. Dana White wants heavyweights to just knock each other out. And I'm not saying Justin Tafa is going to knock him out. He's coming. He's coming off a win. He lost. I think it was to the bloke that beat his brother. As well. So he's not the most well-rounded heavyweight. But in saying that, this fight is not going to a decision. Okay, coming off the Saudi heavyweights getting cut, these guys are going to go out and strike or go out and get a finish. Teixeira can grapple as well, but I'm leaning towards a knockout. I don't know which heavyweight it's going to be. But Aussies want to see Justin tougher, get it done. I'm hoping for a tougher knockout.
Just to be different, this is the only Aussie I'm not going to back to win.
Okay.
I'm going to go with Teixeira here just because Teixeira sounds like a dangerous last name.
Yeah.
And it's a heavyweight battle, so it's a 50-50 chance he gets the KO.
Do you go that like with that mindset into your fight? Like, I'm going to get a finish. I know that this is going to be on my highlight reel.
Mm-hmm.
The UFC want finishers. They want entertaining fighters. Does that play into your mind going into a fight?
Yeah, definitely. Like, I don't want to go out there and just put on like a boring decision win. Even you get the win, but it's like, all right, it was sort of a waste of time. Like, you get the win on your record, it would add to my win streak, but like I wouldn't be satisfied personally. Look, I aim to keep my 100% finish rate. Probably by the end of my career, I would say I'll have a decision win, but as long as I can, I'm going to do whatever I can to keep that.
There you go. Zhang Wei Li versus Tatiana Suarez. It's a women's strawweight fight. Now, let's just get over this one nice and quickly. No, because we saw Zhang Wei Li yesterday. She's bigger than Nick and I.
Yeah.
Like, she's jacked. I don't know what they're feeding her out in China. She's huge. Looks way more professional than her opponent, Tatiana Suarez, who I wouldn't discount. You know, there's been upsets in strawweight before, but I'm just leaning towards the champ, Zhang Wei Li. The fans are going to love her here. I think it's easy.
Yeah, I get Suarez is undefeated.
Yeah.
She's a good fighter. I've heard. I'm not really too big into women's MMA, but from seeing Zhang Wei Li in person, it's hard to bet against her. She's like, I reckon she can compete with the men at this point. That's how big she was.
Some, maybe the flyweight.
Yeah.
Zhang Wei Li?
Yeah, I'm on the same page. Zhang, she's pretty good. Look, I actually don't like to watch the women's much, but I like to watch Zhang Wei Li and Shevchenko.
Yeah,
so I'm definitely going to back Zhang.
There you go. And then the main event for the middleweight champion, Dricus du Plessis versus Sean Strickland. It's a rematch, okay? We all saw how the last fight went. Dricus du Plessis, his face was busted up, and we showed that to them. Sean Strickland gave him a lot of trouble compared to his last two opponents in Rob Whittaker and Israel Adesanya.
And Strickland maintains that if he didn't get the cut under his eye, it was a pretty easy fight for him.
So again, his game plan is he's going to be coming forward, putting the pressure on. But I think if you look at Dricus du Plessis' last defense, he's become a bit more well-rounded.
Yeah,
he's not just a guy that, as Rob Whittaker called him, the best shit fighter you've ever seen, just throwing hands. He can grapple. I mean, he subbed Izzy.
He's an athlete.
He's an all-round athlete. And I think he's a bit too more well-rounded for Sean Strickland, Sean Strickland comes forward, has that dirty boxing look. So I'm leaning towards Dricus du Plessis, but I think it's going to be the fight of the night, probably the most entertaining.
Maybe you can help us with this because we're not too analytical when it comes to MMA.
Yeah.
But when people like Adesanya and Whittaker talk about du Plessis and say he's not very technical or he's not the greatest striker, he's not the greatest this, what are they talking about?
Yeah, look, it's like he just has a weird style. Like he has his own style.
It's unorthodox.
Yeah, it's very unorthodox. It's not like a clean striker or a clean wrestler, and like he sets stuff up nicely and it looks like nice, but it's effective. And
is the criticism warranted?
It is, but those styles, they're hard to deal with, man. Like those weird guys who like are very strong as well. They're hard guys to deal with. We have like a couple guys at the gym like that. They're like my hardest sparring rounds because I don't even know they don't even know what the fuck they're gonna do. So how am I supposed to know? So you know what I mean? Like it's they're trouble. So as you can see, they put away two former champions. Like he's the problem.
And
I'm backing him to win.
And Strickland's style, like no one really has that kind of either.
It's a weird matchup. I mean, I know we've seen it before, but it's two very unique styles going at each other. I mean, I'm backing Dricus, but Sean is also one of a kind. Like he's got he stands like straight legs, boxing stance.
And for me, if it goes to the judges again, I think it's an easy lean towards Dricus du Plessis. I mean, the way that Sean Strickland does media, and with everything that's been going on the last few weeks, they're leaning towards getting away from that controversial.
I think Sean Strickland's mentioned Bryce Mitchell's name one too many times
for
the judges to give him it.
Well, let's get into
especially here in Australia.
Yeah, our multi for the week, our UFC 312 Sydney multi, starting with Jack Jenkins. We're going to take him by TKO or decision. Teixeira to beat Justin Tafa by submission. I think it could end in a knockout, but it's definitely going to end in a finish. I'm going to take the women's fight, Zhang Wei Li versus Tatiana Suarez, to go the distance. So girls don't knock each other out, no submissions. I think Zhang Wei Li wins by decision.
Usually happens.
I'm going to take Zhang Wei Li by decision, actually. Let's go Zhang Wei Li by decision. And I can't take Sean Strickland. I just think they're going to lean towards the champ. Dricus is very confident. And I'm taking Dricus du Plessis to win by decision.
Okay, well, I'm a bit different. I'm going with Sean Strickland by decision. He's a decision merchant. He'll get it done by decision.
I think he has a 30%
finish rate.
finish rate,
Yeah.
which
wow.
is very low in the
Isn't
UFC.
Dricus like 80, I think?
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
opposite,
He goes
Clash
out
of
there to
styles,
kill.
Yeah.
Clash of styles, but
Yeah.
I got Strickland by decision. I got Zhang Wei Li to just win head to head. I'm taking Teixeira head to head, and then Jack Jenkins head to head. He's going to get it done. Great multi there.
Yeah.
Very good value.
Beautiful.
Easy head to heads.
What's George Mangos' best bet? You might not bet,
Yeah.
but what's your best pick?
I think the lock of the card is probably I'm probably most confident in Dricus, to be honest. I
Yeah?
think Dricus is a good
Okay,
lock.
that-
What do you
Share
reckon?
my
Decision
multi.
goes the distance.
I wouldn't be surprised if he subs him, but yeah, I think Dricus
win.
just to win is
Okay.
safe. Yeah.
I like it. I like it. Well, there you have it. There is our UFC 312 preview. Thank you for subscribing and tuning in. Make sure you subscribe to @KRuzBros on YouTube and @Jon-Bernard K for the clips on TikTok and Instagram. I want to thank George, the Hex Featherweight Champion, for coming in and previewing the card with us, mate. We're looking forward to your bout on March 1st. Make sure you follow George @George Mangos
Yeah, at George Mangos.
on Instagram.
George.mangos.
And follow his YouTube. The vlogs are very good. I
Yeah.
tuned into a couple of vlogs. You know, you got to start somewhere. And I mean,
Yeah.
I want to see when you're doing vlogs in the UFC.
Yeah,
You're doing it
exactly.
in Hex. It's smart. Start early, and you'll
Yeah.
be doing it in the big leagues. I can't wait to see it, mate. Thank you for coming in.
Thanks for having us. My pleasure, boys.